Awesome. So, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you for being on here and your dedication to your craft and really learning from those that are extremely experienced and sharing their knowledge. So, I have a really special guest this morning that I'm very happy to have on here. I'd like to introduce to you Shannon Jones with the Shannon Jones team here out of our coastal office. She is extremely, sorry, the waiting room keeps getting filled. I'll let him in a second. She is extremely excited to be here. Thank you, Shannon. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Shannon, what time did you get to the office this morning?
Early. Early.
You guys, Shannon is the perfect example for the early bird gets the worm. She is always the first one here in the office, and that just shows the type of dedication that she has. So, Shannon, tell us a little bit about yourself, your experience. What's your relationship with real estate?
So, we bought our first house in 96 and moved to Long Beach. And we had a terrible, terrible, terrible experience buying our first house. We would call real estate agents and they didn't call us back. We would call on signs and people didn't respond. They would say they'd send us stuff and they didn't. And we finally ended up working with a friend who did not know what he was doing. And we almost lost the house. We did lose the friendship. Before that, we had worked with a real estate agent who was completely incompetent. I had gone out and bought this book, How to Buy and Sell a House in California, and highlighted it and put sticky tabs and everything. So when we sat down to write the contract, I was correcting the agent on what to do. And my background was not sales at all. I hate salespeople. I'm not who walks into a store and if somebody wants to help me, I'm like, no, thank you. I'm just looking like all in one word. And so I never, ever, ever imagined that I would go into sales. And yet, after we had this experience buying our house, I told my husband, Brad, I think if you just called people back and you did what you said you were going to do, that you could be successful in real estate. And he kind of laughed at me. And I was working in the corporate world. So my background is actually journalism. I have a master's degree in journalism, and I spent 8 years as a newspaper reporter. And that was kind of a dying industry. Who reads the newspaper, right? And then I went into the banking industry, which in the late 90s was also quite in transition. And so the bank I was working for was being acquired by another bank in the late 90s. And I had an opportunity to either keep my same job and pay and stock options and all that, or take a severance package and try something new. And so I was tired of wearing navy blue suits and pumps and stockings and commuting. And I thought, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try real estate. And so, and I will never forget, I went and I signed up for if any of you were around, the Century 21 Action, license course. And they give you this thing and it tells you you're going to go to this style consultant for which gold coat you should get. And they tell you exactly what you're going to do down to, I swear they gave me this thing and it told you, you must trim your nose hairs. I'm like, what? What kind of people are they hiring that they have to, give this kind of info to? And so I went to this license cram course and I was talking to a woman there and I said, so are you going to start at Century 21 Action? And she said, what? Why would I do that? Because she was in the class with me. And she said, no, I'm interviewing different places. And I said, what do you mean? Like, we're new. You can't just go wherever you want. Like, I was from the mentality where you had to interview for the job. And it was like, you're trying to sell yourself. I didn't realize that everybody wanted new agents. So she says, oh yeah, I'm talking to this place and this place. And I was like, really? They bring on new agents? So I set out to go and talk to different offices. And I remember going and talking to the manager at one of the offices. I'm not going to say which one because I'm being recorded here, um, but I remember talking to him, and he said, so, he asked me a lot of questions, and he says, so what are you going to do if you're not successful in real estate? I said, well, I don't know. I figured I'd give it a try for a year or so. And then if I'm not successful, I'll just go back to doing what I'm doing. I mean, it works out okay. I just thought I'd do something different. So at the end of the interview, he said to me, he said, I really question whether you will make it in real estate. And I said, oh, why is that? And he said, well, because when I asked you that question, you said you just go back. You said you have to be more driven and hungry than that. I said, oh, okay. Well, a couple years later, when he went to recruit me and didn't remember that conversation, it was quite satisfying. Because my first year, I will say, it took me 5 months to sell a house. So kudos to you people who hit the ground running, because I did not. It was a very slow start, but the first month when I did sell a house, I sold 3. And by the end of my first year, I'd sold 26. And by the end of my second year, I was the top agent in the office I had joined, which was Century 21, but not Century 21 Action. Not that there was anything wrong with it, but I could never see myself in a gold coat. It just wasn't me.
It's not your color. Red is more your color, especially this morning, I can tell.
I like red. Yeah, I just, I don't know. Mustard gold is not usually my thing. So, but anyway, so that was 98 when I got my license, and 99 when I actually sold the first house. And after a few years, when it seemed like it was going to kind of stick and I was going to keep doing it for a while, then my husband joined me in the business and decided that maybe, that wasn't so far-fetched, that calling people back would be a good start for a career. And so that's kind of how I got started in real estate.
That's awesome. What a unique story, and just how much you've grown and shifting from a completely different industry, but still applying your same skills that you kind of learned and honed through school and experience in that. What are some of those things that you felt like were applicable going from one career to another?
I think really treating it as a business, as a job. I think one of the things that attracts people to this industry is this illusion of flexibility and the fact that it's very easy and you can work whatever hours you want. Well, working whatever hours you want does mean that, if you want to schedule your doctor's appointment at 2:00, you can do that, and you don't have to ask your boss for permission. It does mean that if you want to go to your son's baseball game, you can do that. But it doesn't mean that you're going to kind of coast and, come in at 10 or 11 in the morning and leave by 2 and take a long lunch and be successful. You can do that, but you're probably not going to be successful doing that. And so you can have either or. But there really isn't a substitute for hard work. I think if you want to be successful, you need to plan on working hard. Yes, you have to work smart, and that makes it easier. But at the end of the day, it's still work.
And having that dedication to your craft is what makes you a master. So Shannon, where is your business coming from now, and where do you see the business coming from over the next year in this shift and change in the industry?
A lot of our business, my business, comes from past clients and referrals from past clients, people in our sphere, and that's been true for a number of years. But it's a mix. So we have business from referrals from other agents. We have business from referrals from past clients from internet leads, from Google, from open houses, from Facebook ads, from a variety of different sources. And I think it's really important to have that variety and not put all of your eggs in one basket, because as things shift, you may find that one source or another is more profitable.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So Shannon, what's some of the most important things you've kind of learned over the years in your real estate business and applied to your business values or your business model?
Um, I think one thing to really keep in mind is don't expect instant results. Um, I think that sometimes people, they expect they're going to hold an open house and they're going to get, oh, I got 8 leads, and those people are all going to go out and buy homes. And, or I'm going to run this, Facebook ad and I'm going to get these leads. And then, most of the leads, most of the things that come your way in terms of opportunity are not immediate business. And so it's really, really important to recognize where people are at on their journey and then offer them something that has some value to them and have a system for continuing
Mm-hmm.
to stay in touch. Because if you've got 8 leads from here and 12 leads from here and 30 leads from there, and you don't have a system for continuing to communicate with them in a systematic way and provide them something of value, then you've completely wasted your time generating those leads.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is one of the things I see is if we refer leads out to people, I'm really reluctant ever to refer leads to somebody that aren't at the kind of now stage, because most agents don't know what to do with that. And so they'll call people like 2 or 3 times, and then they're like, yeah, well, they weren't ready to buy. Well, that's because people start researching either buying a home or selling a home, often 6, 8, 12, 18 months ahead of when they're actually going to do something. And
Mm-hmm.
so you really need to have a system for kind of sorting and classifying people. So who are they? And I always, like, I tell people, like, you want to like ask the big questions: who, what, where, when, why, how. Like, who are you? What do you want to do? Where do you want to do it? When do you want to do it? Why do you want to do it? And how do you plan on doing it? And then you need to figure out where you have some value to offer, and then put them into a system that will communicate with them the information that they need so you can stay in touch.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we had a lead that was referred to us 4.5 years ago. And it was a trust sale. And I went out and met with her, and she was back and forth on whether or not she wanted to do something. And, then decided not. And we just stayed in touch, stayed in touch, stayed in touch, stayed in touch. And then boom, it's a listing. We have people that we've met at open houses and they don't do anything, and then suddenly a year, 2, 3, 4 years later, they're ready to do something. And so you really have to be willing to kind of nurture some of those leads. I mean, it's fabulous when people call you and say, hey, I want to buy this house. Great, I'd love to sell it to you. Or, hey, we need to list our house. Can you help us with that? Sure. But more of the time, we have some people right now. I met with them, God, like 4 years ago, and they were trying to decide, did they want to sell their house or did they want to add on to it and stay? Well, guess what? They haven't done either one yet, still. And so last week they called, Shannon, we're still thinking about selling our house. And, can you come out and talk to us and tell us what would we need to do to put it on the market? So I went and met with them. Well, they're still thinking about it. Maybe they will sell, maybe they won't. But guess what? In the meantime, they had an investment property that they sold with us 2 years ago, a little condo. And her friend needed to buy a house. So they helped, So they've, although they never did that initial piece of business, we've done other business with them, and we're their resource. So when they need something like Shannon, we have a plumbing problem. Can you refer us to a plumber? You want to be the resource for people before they need it, so that when they do need to sell or buy, you can help them with that. But you want to be their resource anyways. And I think, the woman who was the trust sale from 4 years ago, her attorney told her, you need to interview multiple agents. And I'm like, what? After 4 years of following up, now you're interviewing multiple agents? What is this? But thankfully, she decided that we were the one that she wanted to work with. And what she said to me, she said, Shannon, she said, I really appreciated your follow-up because you were persistent without being pushy. And that is a fine line, because you don't ever want to come across like that, used car salesperson. What would it take for you to list your house today? Like, what are their needs? How can you help? And I think if you come at this business from more of a service perspective than necessarily sales, that you'll be more successful.
Oh, I love that, Shannon. You talked a little bit about this, kind of during this section, but you guys are great at open houses and marketing and creating that value. But I think even to a different level, which is creating like a fun value. So if you guys don't follow them already, go on and follow Shannon Jones online on Instagram and Facebook, because you guys are just so creative with the things that you bring forward to your clients and the people watching. Can you give us some examples of things that you guys have done to kind of have fun outside of just the regular marketing of property?
Yeah. And just so you know too, I have a personal Instagram, which if you want to follow it, it's my cat and my flowers and food. But so not much real estate. But if you go, I think it's Shannon_Jones_team is our team Instagram. And that's more real estate and us. But so we do like we do the traditional marketing. So we do print marketing, we do email, but we also we try and do fun things for our clients. And so we usually do several events every year. COVID really kind of sucked the life out of that. But although we did even with COVID, we did what we call porch portraits. And we did this for our VIP clients. We had a photographer go to their house and we organized it. And he took pictures of everybody on their porch, and then we provided it to them. And it was great because then they were able to put it on their social media, and then they tagged us, and we did a little video, and then we tagged all them. So that was kind of good. But pre-COVID, we've done, we always did every year a breakfast with Santa, and so people could come and get pictures. And we did that for our past clients, and then also for the community. We've done some fun open houses in the past, like we did like a tiki happy hour at this like tropical thing. We've done join us for brunch from Porto's, and had mimosas and whatnot. And so we tried to do some real fun open houses, but we also do parties for our clients. So we've done like a casino night. We did a luau with the full, dancers and the whole roasted pig that they carried in. And we've done, what else? Picnic in the park kind of thing. And so we're looking at right now, what are we going to do for now that we're coming out of COVID, what will our next event be? And so I just had sent like a email to some of our VIP clients and said, if we had a party, would you come? And
That's great though.
and so I gave them like, here's some of our ideas. Which one sounds the most fun to you? When would you want to come? And so that's kind of a good way to sort of engage with people. And I got a lot of responses. We love your parties. And but it's interesting because we've done this for so many years that some of our past clients now know each other from our parties, and they have themselves become friends. And so it kind of creates this whole little tribe, if you will, of people who are fans. And I mean, honestly, some of my closest friends started as clients. So we have like a couple we went to Costa Rica with last year. I met them showing them a property, 15 years ago. And so there you go.
I love that. Thanks. Many, many put in the chat down there at the bottom, Shannon's Instagram. I just want to bring that up because I think that you and your team, you have such a good example of a balanced story, brand story on social media, because you share those properties, but then you also have the fun things like the cookie tasting or the what's your favorite movie. And that creates a lot of that rapport, I believe, to you and your team and what that means. So go on there and follow. Okay, so I know we're getting close, but Shannon, yesterday I bumped into you in the hall and you shared with me a really interesting story that I'd love to have you kind of tell everyone else and fill them in on that. Just really about values and holding that into your business and really strong about your client that ended up kind of full circle coming back to you. We called it the real estate karma, right? So I'd love for you to share that story with everyone and just use that as, because I think it's a great example.
Sure. Well, I'm gonna go back beyond that first. One of the things that I will say about Keller Williams that has always really resonated with me is the values of the company. And I remember, and I don't remember all the details now because it's been a long time and I'm older now, but I remember early on, Mo Anderson telling a story about her beginnings in real estate and having struggles and like basically kind of almost bargaining like with God, like, okay, I need a sign, I need this transaction by this date, and it wasn't happening, and almost needing to throw in the towel, and then another agent making it happen by doing the right thing. And so if you Google, and I'm sure you can find it, but it really, I think when you do the right thing, not only does it feel good, but it also creates consequences and karma, and it's just balance. So it's a cutthroat business, and I think a lot of times agents get so focused on wanting to double in listings and how do I do that? And, honestly, we all love to do it. We make more money. Isn't that great? And so I'm not saying that we don't ever double end our listings. We do sometimes, and sometimes it makes sense. But what we don't ever do is we don't ever do that at the expense of our clients. And we don't ever compromise our values to do that or our ethics. So we have a listing right now. In fact, we're getting ready to close it today. Yay. And it will be our highest sales price ever. So we don't work real high end, but we're going to close it today at $2,103,000. So I'm super excited. But we did have the opportunity to double end it because we had several potential buyers ask us, if we represented them, could they get the house? So we listed the house. It was $1.7 million. And one of those buyers who asked us that actually had his sister, who is a real estate agent, give me a call. So first he contacted the seller directly. She said, call my agent. Then he had his sister, who's a real estate agent out of the area, contact me. And I told her the same thing. We're not looking the offers till after the weekend. And so, go ahead and make an offer if you want. He then contacted me directly and said, I really want this house. If I work with you, can I get this house? And I told him, I said, your sister, who is your agent, contacted me. Have a conversation with her. And I promise you, I know she's out of town. We're not doing anything until after the weekend. So just talk to her. If you want to submit an offer, go ahead, submit your offer. I can't guarantee you'll get it, but I can guarantee you'll have just as much of chance getting it with her as with me. Because he said, we can get rid of her. We can get rid of my sister. I'll work with you. I said, that's not how we work. Your sister already contacted me. Please make the offer. So anyways, so he made an offer and we got 5 other offers and best in vinyl and, back and forth. And he ends up the winning bid with his sister, right? So he's buying the house. That's great. Well, yesterday, Brad was over at the house, my husband, business partner. He's over at the house and they're there at the house. And now they actually own another house, right? And they're now thinking of selling their house and would like to talk to us about it. And Brad says, well, but I assume, the sister is going to help you with that, right? No, we'd like to talk to you. So I think that, they got to see that we were ethical. And we also were able to negotiate for the seller an additional $400,000 by not just taking that offer. Because we could have absolutely represented him. We could have represented another buyer. We could have gotten that done. And a lot of agents would have just done that. Woohoo. Wouldn't you like to make 5% on $1.7 million? That's awesome. But the reality is for our client, she would have left $400,000 on the table. Mm-hmm. And these are funds that are going to pay for the long-term care of her mom. So getting everything they could from it is important, because mom's care is expensive. But even if it wasn't, it's their money and it's our fiduciary obligation. And it's always the right thing to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm. That's real estate karma right there. That someone came to you and remember you saying that, again, that shows your ethics, that shows your value of what you're going to do to represent your seller in that point, right? So he trusts you to turn around and to sell his own property more than his sister. Poor sister.
Yeah, we don't have it listed yet, but you know what? But I've seen that happen so many times where, you do the right thing. And I think, you do the right thing even when it doesn't necessarily produce the results that you'd like it to produce. Mm-hmm. You do the right thing because at the end of the day, you want to feel good about what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really important. So Shannon, do you have any last thoughts to kind of leave everyone with, productivity, motivational, anything that you would like to leave them with today?
I would just say, if you aren't working every day, you won't get results every day. The results what you do today, you may not see the results today, but what you did a week ago or a month ago or 6 months ago is going to produce the results today or tomorrow. And so if you're not having the consistency in the results that you want to see, look at what are your activities. Look at what activities you're putting on your calendar and really block the time to, actually call people or, follow up on the leads that came through the open house, because people are going to, it's interesting. Sometimes I'm calling people and I'm leaving, these voicemails. Hi, this is Shannon. We met at an open house, a few months ago. And I know you were just starting your search and I'm calling to follow up. Did you all ever end up buying a house, or is that still something you're thinking about? Let me know if you have any questions. And I'm leaving messages like this and I'm thinking, are people even listening? But what happens is they're listening, they just don't need you yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you keep, sending an email and then maybe a text and then maybe you leave a voicemail and you're friendly and you're persistent and you're there, then when they need you, they'll reach out. And so many times I've had people tell me, we just really appreciated that, you stayed in touch with us. It doesn't take that much. But you think people know that you're there to help them. And if you don't tell them that, they don't always know.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Those are great words to leave us with. Shannon, thank you so much for, I would say, waking up and joining us, but you've been up for hours, let's be honest.
Pretty much, yes.
But thank you guys again. Shannon Jones with the Shannon Jones team. Take all of these words, watch the recording. We're going to post it later. Watch and rewatch. Have a good Friday, everybody.
Before you go, I'm going to get one little picture here. Hold on.
Okay, yeah, we're going to,
Okay, there we go. Okay.
I'm like, there we go. Now we're going to be on our Instagram. But thank you guys. Reach out to your leadership. We're here to help and support you. Have a good, productive real estate weekend and happy open houses. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Shannon.
Bye.